What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Someday with Barsky. Happy to be talking to you again to follow up with you. It's been a while since I posted the first episode. I kind of want to start off with just a personal update with me. I want you all to know more about me, what's going on with me. I want to give you updates on my life. I would love to get updates on your life by you can always send me comments, messages, DMs, stuff like that. And maybe we can discuss any great comments that you want to just share with me, and I can probably share it on this podcast. But just started off, I'm excited to share. Like I mentioned before, that I'm also a comedian, and one thing that I've took me a while to kind of process and get more comfortable with is my writing when it comes to stand up. Took me a while to finally write my own first 5 minute set, something, a fresh batch of jokes to share to everybody to make people laugh. I always like to say that stand up is like 20% of my artwork when it comes to comedy. I like to dab into like various things, but stand up is more of like my heart and soul when it comes to comedy. I always say it gets the gears rolling. Like I need to do stand up just to get everything else going on and gears rolling, and just getting that inspiration to be funny, to be around funny people, just think more things in a funny, humorous way. So that's what stand up really does and helps me. I always say it's just a part of me. It's not everything that I do, just because there's just so much of what I like to do in comedy. I consider myself still a student. I will always be a student of the craft. I think 40% of my comedy is just me being a spectator, just enjoying the shows, just learning. I've been behind on because I've just been so focused on my writing. Just those gears kind of get going, and I kind of just have tunnel vision, and I was just set on the comedy writing that I got too distracted on the podcast. So that was my bad on it. I'll try to get more focused. I realize as I do these podcasts, especially these standalone podcasts, I really need to have like an outline of everything that I want to say, want to plan out, so I don't have to take too much takes and I don't say too much because the more passionate I get into speaking into these mics, the less I say. Plus, I like to just stay at home. I'm a big introvert, to be honest with you. I like to think I'm an approachable guy. I don't mind like making people laugh. It's always fun to just help people laugh or make people feel a way that they never really felt before. I'm at an age when taking care of yourself is very vital for the next maybe 5 to 10, 15 years in your life. So I do try to maintain that, and I can't really be doing that when I go out and do the stand-ups and just trying to work on these open mics and practice this material. I need to focus on myself, and that's kind of helps me gain back that confidence in everything I say and everything I do, whether it's in stand-up or just meeting people in general. And I'm a big believer of what Deion Sanders has said in the past, which is you look good, you feel good, you play good. And so I take that to heart. So that's why I always make sure I stay active. So, I mean, even outside of just staying up at night and just being in the comedy scene, I like to just do my physical activities, whether it's just riding my bike to the park and just doing a lot of calisthenics workouts, of just focusing on my yoga practice and stuff like that, just to really help me on my overall well-being. I am back in doing the second episode, the standalone podcast. I'm probably like maybe 1 week, maybe 2 weeks a little late. I'm still trying to work on making this podcast available on all platforms. As far as I see, it's really on a popular platform. It's available on Spotify and Anchor. I'm still working on getting it to like Apple Podcasts and everything else. There's also a YouTube page that's created under me, Jay Barsky, in which I post podcasts, just the audio stuff, but they're in video format, which you can see on the YouTube page. But this will be the first solo podcast. Previous episode was more of just an introduction since it was a pilot. This is going to be the first actual solo podcast in which I have a actual topic that I feel like it's important for you to be shared with you all. Something that I practice myself. and that I've learned from mentors of mine and that I want to share on this podcast. But before I get into that topic, last thing I'll mention about on this program. So my first goal is to post 3 episodes. I've already posted the pilot episode. This will be the second episode. The next episode, the third episode, is going to be, I'm going to have a guest. I haven't selected the guest yet. I'm still trying to select an appropriate guest just for to be the first actual guest on this program. I'm excited about that, and I'm trying to work out what kind of discussion topics we'll talk about on the podcast. The interview discussions, I mean, it will be a variety, which we'll get to know the guests. But one thing I want to know is like of their ways, their practices of motivating themselves, influencing themselves to become a better person in their practice, and just being a better person for the world. And for the listeners out there that can grasp what we're discussing and learn and take that and apply it to anything that they can do on their dreams and goals and making their someday happen. So for this solo podcast, the topic that we're going to discuss today is to avoid the use of your phone. This has been something I've been trying to practice personally for a while. I've learned from listen to other podcasts and just independent research on practices on best ways so I can avoid in using my phone. I'm not saying that having a smartphone is a bad thing to have. It's such a great thing to have. It's just access to everybody. You might want to limit your access of your phone because it might provide some negative influences, whether it's in your mental or physical well-being. So first off, when I say physical, it's that just having that blue screen in front of you that will affect your eyesight and also affect how you sleep at night. Having your phone close to you might impact you to try to keep on looking at your phone just because it's so easy to reach for and have and unlock and open for you. And I'm always big on getting the necessary sleep that you need. I would like to make a future, maybe a couple of solo podcasts, maybe have some interview discussions with some sleep experts and maybe just discuss sleeping techniques with on the guest of this program just to provide easier ways for people to have the necessary sleep that they need, whether it's 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours of sleep. You'll hear me talk about sleep and just the importance of having good sleep, not just sleep in general, but just having good, comfortable sleep will really affect everything that you do in your life. So smartphones are great to have. I have an iPhone. I've always been a little late when it comes to phones. When I was in high school, that's when I guess having a cell phone on you became more popular. Just going back to previously before that, middle school, beepers were the kind of the cool thing to have on you. You know, even myself, my family couldn't afford beepers or just having the money to keep a beeper on. I just had like just a disposable beeper. It wasn't even on. It was kind of more of just a show off to my friends who had nicer beepers that I was cool myself and had a beeper too. Even before beepers, the electronic cool thing to have on you was like nanos or Tamagotchis, if anyone remembers that. It's like a keychain, electronic little Game Boy kind of thing that you take care of a pet. So you kind of like had to make sure it's walked or goes to the bathroom, that it's fed. I kind of feel like being young and having one of those kind of preparing me to be an adult to have an iPhone someday. But yeah, just going back to just having a smartphone. One thing, obviously, to have a smartphone, it's popular to use is social media. And social media is great. I dab into social media. I have a TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I have that. I post stuff on it. I have fun posting stuff on it. I find it challenging sometimes because I kind of treat it like an open mic. Like I post something on one thing just to see the interest and see like if it's just me, if it's funny. If not, I'll take it down, or something that's just influential, just something positive. And I kind of just test it out on the social media platforms and just based on the responses it gets, I kind of build it for my material, whether it's for comedy or for the motivational speaking part, or if it's something that I can bring that all together, which is more of what I would like to do anyways. But one practice that I've kind of mastered on to myself is just making sure to control my use of social media and how it affects me. So when I see something on social media, maybe it's something that I don't like, or maybe it is something that influences me in a way that I don't like to be influenced. Not saying that it's really negative, anyways, but kind of maybe make me feel that I don't feel comfortable in seeing something like that. I make sure I unfollow everything on that. Because what happens is that's kind of how social media marketing works. And I say this because I work on the marketing for my own business and when it comes to social media. So I've had consultations with those social media experts in finding out how best practices to promote to social media. So how it works is if you're paying your attention to these posts, hashtags, even if it's something that you're not actually liking or commenting, if you're focusing your attention and your time on your phone on that certain topic, that certain photo, other items or other promotions or other stuff that might influence you in a certain way is going to gravitate towards what you see just because you're paying attention to that original post that you really don't want to be looking at in the first place. So, with that said, don't follow what you don't want to follow. That's kind of broad and just whatever you feel comfortable. Like if you're following or if you're seeing something that kind of makes you feel negative about yourself, maybe you shouldn't follow them. You're paying your attention to something that's going to really eat you up inside. And then other stuff is going to feed more into that as well. You should be feeding positivity into your life. You should be looking up or you should be following. You should be putting your time and spent on things that and bring you joy. But if you're following stuff that doesn't bring you joy or doesn't bring you any glimpse of positivity, makes you distracted on something that's negative, you should not be following, you should not be looking, or you should not be paying attention to any of that at all. And one thing that you shouldn't do is focus on how other people are living based on what they're posting on their Facebook or on their Instagram, on pictures, on promoting how great their life looks. You should not focus on those other people's lives. You should be focused on yourself, on just you living the best life that you can be, being the best person that you can be. But I've always been late on the access of phones. So I mentioned like in high school I had a phone. I didn't really use it. It's just my parents kind of gave it to me like my last year of high school, but by then I didn't use it at all. And when I got to college, I had a one of those first Nokia phones, so it was like a small block phone. This was during when razors were out, so those were those cool flip phones. They were thin phones, and so everyone had those phones, and everyone kind of made fun of my Nokia old phone. This was before smartphones, so there was like new types of phones that were coming out. My brother got a sidekick, so he gave me his, and that kind of had me updated for a good bit. That was cool for a little bit, but then that's when the smartphone came out, which I didn't have a smartphone till maybe just a couple of years ago. Because after college, I did the Peace Corps and I went to the Fiji Islands for a couple of years. And I even then I didn't want to have a phone on me. I didn't think since I was living in a village, hours away from the city, that I really did not. I wanted to live like a village lifestyle. But a lot of villagers did have cell phones on them as well. It was just prepaid phones, which was the thing. So I just ended up having that, just a prepaid phone. And I was comfortable with that, didn't need anything else. So I really wasn't familiar with a smartphone anyways, since by the time I was in the Fiji Islands, that's when smartphones kind of build some credit. So I was even knowing about all of that and just having access to the internet and just having a touchscreen and everything like that on people's phones just yet. I was living in a small, tiny island in the Fiji Islands, in a small, tiny village, in a small, tiny hurricane shutter house. I didn't have too much attachment to my phone. I kind of was forced to have a smartphone just through work and that's when I finally knew more about smartphones. Didn't even really know about Instagram. Just knew more about Facebook the whole time. And even before I left for the Fiji Islands. I was still kind of new to Facebook. I still like MySpace. Like I'm GoPro on MySpace the whole time. I don't even know if MySpace has an app, but I miss the days of MySpace just because those one thing they did on MySpace was those top 6 friends. You kind of let people know like this is my crew. These are people that I really like. And if someone didn't like you, that they removed you from their top 6. That was a thing back then. And there was like this survey, this questionnaire that MySpace that had that was so cool. I like that. And my favorite part of MySpace is that you can play music if someone like clicks on your profile and they'll see it. So that was actually pretty cool on MySpace. So I love MySpace. I still am a big fan of it. I think MySpace still has a lot of potential. So on practices on physically just being detached from your phone, some methods to use is just having your phone away from you. Don't have it in your hand. If you get so used to having your phone in your hand, it's just such a small, easy access. Have your hand distracted is good to have. I like to use stress balls a lot. Not to say that I'm stressed a lot, but it's just having that access to having something in your hand. A couple of practices of not being around your phone is that you just not having it on you, just maybe having it somewhere else when you're doing something, having your phone face down, not faced up, so you don't see any notifications or something lights up. Just avoid that. Really great tool that your phone has is the a time. So another thing that I really practice is just not having my phone, and if I really need to see the time. So I have multiple clocks around me in multiple rooms, just kind of a way just so I can see what time it is without even needing to use my phone. Because I kind of get trapped into that rabbit hole of if I just need to see the time, maybe I need to see a notification, maybe I need to see another app. So it kind of just traps me into that rabbit hole of looking at my phone and just seeing everything that I don't want to see. And just I wanted to avoid that. I set up times, appropriate times, or take breaks of everything I do at some point to maybe look at my phone. If I don't feel any positive influences coming from the use of my phone, I just drop it and get away from it. So clocks are nice to have. And one last practice I'll mention is just being connected to your phone through Bluetooth. I know people will have probably like headphones, but like maybe AirPods or Bluetooth speakers or something like that. Yes, it's nice that you have your phone away from you. That's a good practice to have, but I'll challenge you to a step above that and just not use your phone, whether through Bluetooth to listen to a podcast or listen to music or do a playlist. Even if it's a podcast, even if it's this podcast, I recommend that you take a break if you need to, just to get away from the phone and not even listening to it. I've kept this practice the last because it's probably going to be the hardest, is just not kind of just being in silence. Maybe you're hearing things, your neighbors, you're hearing elements outside, you're hearing nature, but it's kind of your access to not be your phone, because that's ultimately what the phone is going to be, is it just distracting you of things that you might be afraid to actually might think about or might hear or just might pop up just because you're not distracted through listening to a podcast or listen to a phone or looking through social media, because ultimately that's a distraction of something that you might be trying to purposely distract yourself. And another good practice to have to confront or overcome those negative thoughts is a meditation, which is why I've done this solo podcast to keep your phone, because I've always end these podcasts on some helpful advice. And I want to end this podcast on a form of meditation. When people hear about meditation, they think just maybe like a Buddhist monk just sitting under a tree, keeping your eyes closed outside in nature. I mean, that's a good practice to have. That's not a practice I am able to do. Maybe I can reach that practice someday, but I can only give you a practice of meditation that I've learned through just being a student of meditation myself and just having some great spiritual mentors that have taught onto me. That's kind of the reason why I want to mention about not using your phone. When you do your meditation, your phone's going to either distract you or help you on your form of meditation. One thing that you might feel when you meditate is when you're finished with your meditation is the use of your phone, or maybe just seeing what time it is. What's the challenge about meditation is not really the physical practice and just sitting down and doing something and just focusing on yourself and your mind for however long you can. What's the real challenge that you don't subconsciously don't know is of the mental impact that it will do to you in confronting something that's really hard for you to confront, or a past, or someone that you've had difficulty in your past in working with, or just someone that's done something wrong to you, and you don't have that distraction. So it's going to come back to you. It's something, it's going to hit you. It's going to hit you where you, when you don't expect it. And that's why you distract yourself with your phone, or find something to distract you, because you want to forget about all of that. You don't want to have that confronted to you at a point where you don't have your phone on you, or you're not listening to a music, or not listening to a podcast. That's what makes meditation hard, when you come to that point. And when you come to that point, that's that actual part of meditation that is supposed to help you, is on that mental health. It's supposed to give you just that mental flush. Something's going to hit you hard that's kind of been confronting with you, or trying to hit you, and you're avoiding it. And when you get to that point, that's the point that you are either going to confront it and keep your eyes closed and let it hit you, or you're going to have your phone on you. I'm going to challenge you to meditate for 15 minutes. That's all you really need. That's all I pretty much do every day at some point in the day, whether it's in the morning or before I go to sleep. I sit down for 15 minutes. So I time myself on my phone, but I put my phone maybe behind me, or just out of eyesight, maybe just a little further away. I like to sit outside or outdoors in the patio, and just, how I usually sit is just maybe sitting on a large pillow on the floor, sit on something soft that you, if you can physically sit cross-legged, sit still or be still for 15 minutes straight. And that's all you really need, is that 15 minutes. Minimum is that 15 minutes. The key goal is to have those eyes closed and not be distracted. This is you in your own thoughts. Meditation that a lot of Buddhist monks do is how they have their hands. You have to have your hands open when you do these meditation sit downs. So normally I just have my hands wide open. They're sitting on my knees when I'm sitting down cross legged, and my hands stay open. I don't keep my hands closed. So palms up, palms are open, and fingertips or your fingers are wide open for anything that's coming your way in your mental or your meditation practice. I would say the final factor or key to know when it comes to meditation, this is when it was kind of an aha moment for me about meditation, because I didn't really realize or understand the sole focus of meditation. I thought it was just absence of mind, just clearing the mind, just flushing everything, not really realizing it, that it's kind of just an opening, as kind of you're opening the gates. Yes, you are flushing it, but you're flushing what's to come. There's going to be a new something new, something hurtful, something negative, that's going to keep on hitting you. Whether it's like a hurricane, it's just going to come. It's routinely coming. There's going to probably be 2, 3 more coming the way. It's just going to come to you at some point. So that's what your meditation is allowing. Your meditation, you are opening yourself. How I look at it, my mental focus in when I am doing my meditation is, like I mentioned, the physical practice and how I am practicing and sitting down doing my meditation. But in my head, I'm in a sea. I'm laying down in a dark water, and I'm in the sea. I'm looking up at the stars. I'm looking at everything, and I'm kind of watching those negative thoughts. It's coming to me, but I look at it like a movie, like a projector that's on the stars in the screen. I'm kind of embracing it. I'm looking at it like a film, more of just like more of something that's I've learned to be a better person. because of those experiences and learn to embrace it and just overcome it. And when I first was told about about meditation, about these negative thoughts coming to your way, I didn't believe it. I kind of judged my mentor when he said this, when he mentioned this, because I didn't think that just sitting down on 15 minutes, just keeping my mind still, was going to some point bring something up. I kind of looked at it like I bring these negative thoughts to myself purposely. I control my mind. I bring it up when I need to bring it up. I didn't realize that it's going to be brought up at some point, whether I want to think of it or not. There's something that's going to instantly hit me on something that's initiated those negative thoughts. So just keeping my mind absent just kind of draws that negative thoughts coming its way to me without really seeing anything that's going to initiate it. So when I do those meditations, it kind of allows me to just not focus on those thoughts anymore. It kind of just lets me release my everything that's going on mentally with me and just be in that sea and just floating in the sea and just allowing everything that comes my way. So those, it's like a tornado or a cyclone or a hurricane, that these negative thoughts are come your way, and they come from nothing. That's the key part I've learned, is that these negative thoughts, in reality, they come from nothing. They just come from a little part in a backspace of your mind that really should be like swept under the carpet or something like that, and it comes from nothing. And once it comes from nothing and it comes to you, those thoughts that come hit you, they come for a while, they stir a little bit, they try to stir something dramatic in your life, something that might impulse you to ruin something that you potentially could do in your future or at your present. It kind of just, that's what it's trying to do. But once it realizes that it can't do it anymore and it gets tired of being there anymore, once it comes from nothing and does try to do something, it comes back into doing nothing. And the more it routinely comes back, the weaker it gets, just because it's realizing that it's kind of giving up on you. And once it's done that, that's when you can kind of release it. You can maybe more focus on something else that's been bothering you and trying to overcome it in that same manner, or just focus on peace. That's the best part that you can do, is that once you overcome all those hurricanes, all those mental hurricanes, tornadoes that hit you, and you can accept those 15 minutes of peace without even thinking of all of that, that's the ultimate form that you can have in your meditation practice. And you can extend those past those 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes and an hour, and hopefully maybe longer than that. That's what I want to leave you with. And maybe just as for like breathing, a good form of breathing, I practice really just breathing through the nose. But yeah, so that's all I want to leave you with, meditation. So just remember, just that practice of just not being around your phone and not using your phone, or just using, if you are to use your phone, to more use it as something that's an educational tool in a positive way for you rather than a negative, to help you reach that someday happen. Meditation will help you achieve that someday in your life. So focus on that meditation practice. I challenge you to 15 minutes, minimum 15 minutes. Time yourself on a watch, on your phone. Make sure your phone is away from you, out of sight, so you don't look at it. I want to hear from you on this, if it works for you, these meditation practices. Maybe something that you kind of want to add into your own meditation practices. I mentioned that what I picture myself doing on my meditation practice, on being in the sea, looking up at the stars. I want to hear maybe what's your world like? What's your universe looking like when you are doing your meditation practices? I would love to hear that. Let me know. Follow me on all the socials. So it's I am Jay Barsky on everything. I love to hear from you on these podcasts. Next one will be a guest. I'm excited about that. So we'll see. So I love to hear from you on everything. Let me know. But thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I love you. Have a good one.